A good afternoon to you. Unless you're on the West Coast, then it would be a good morning. Welcome to the Chai Academy, and I'm Rabbi Sachs. We will be delving together to try and learn lessons from life. I mean, in general, that's our obligation. We need to learn lessons from everything that we see, every single thing that we see. Especially, we need to learn from the Holy Temple. God designed the Holy Temple, so it wasn't designed by man, built by man, but God actually did the designing and the where He wanted and how many feet apart and which type of. It's amazing. God was an interior director, an interior decorator, I believe it's called. That I want purple wool and I want a little bit of mauve, a little bit of scarlet. So we've been discussing the past couple of times, and each class is self-contained. Is what are the lessons of the artifacts in the Holy Temple? What are they? And what are the lessons? So we've discussed the table, and we've discussed the ark, and today we're going to discuss the menorah. By the way, there's talking about life lessons. There's a very telling story about a great rabbi whose philosophy was learning from life lessons. So he was walking, and he passed a railroad station, and he sees a train come forth. The front of the train, it was smoke and choo choo, and it's pulling 5, 6, 7 carts. So he asked his students what lesson, and they didn't answer him. So he answered, when you have passion, when you're enthused, you can pull 9, 10 people along with you or more. The problem is when the fire dies out, the enthusiasm dies out. He goes, then you have nobody, you have nobody pull. You can't even pull yourself. So what's the lessons of the menorah? First of all, we're taught that the menorah, by the way, was solid gold. Once again, solid gold. It was nothing soldered. It was a huge block of gold, and which they cut 3 branches and another 3 branches, and you had a middle stem, which the middle stem ended at the floor, and on the other side was the server candle, or the main oil. It was olive oil only. There was no candles. There was no wax. It was strictly olive oil, and it was made of solid gold. And it wasn't just plain Jane. It was Baroque. It had flowers, and it had spheres, and it had strange looking cups that were upside down, and it was all uniform, and it was a big piece of gold. It was a big piece of gold. So we're taught that the menorah, biblical command, the menorah had to be lit every single day. So it comes nighttime, sun is setting, the high priest cleans out yesterday's oil and wick, whatever's remaining, and he puts in new oil and a new wick. And by the way, when talking about oil, we're not talking about a little bit of oil. We're talking about a jug of oil. We're talking about one of these huge containers that you can buy in the grocery store, which basically, when I was in yeshiva, the chef used to put that amount of oil into one kugel. So if you stuck a wick into that potato kugel, it would also last for 8 days. But so it was a massive amount of oil. So he used to clean it out, then he used to pour the oil, and then he placed the new wick, and then he used to light it. Menorah symbolizes light. The menorah symbolizes warmth. That we need to be a light into others. We need to be warm, just like the menorah. You put your hands, it was a fire. So the same idea. We need, hi Eileen, we need to be infused. We need to have fire within us. We need to have, we have to keep our motor running, so to speak. And it's interesting, the windows. I mean, it was Phoenicians, I think, invented glass, but how pre-glass? How do they bring light into a building? So the way they brought light into a building was they made the outside. They made a hole in the brick, and the hole in the brick, basically, inside it was very, very narrow slit, but it went outside as such, and it was a huge opening. I'm sorry, it was the other way around. Outside was a small little slit because the weather, the elements, it had to be small. And inside, it got bigger and bigger and bigger until you got to the inside, and it was shone a lot of light. The menorah was completely reversed. It was a little on the inside, but it spread. The idea was spread the light outward. The Holy Temple didn't need the light. It had God's light. There were other candles there, but the menorah the idea is that there has to be light and warmth into the world. And it was lit every single day. So one cannot rely on their what they did yesterday, rest on their laurels. Yesterday I was full of light. Yesterday I inspired many people. Yesterday I was passionate about life. Today I'm taking a break. The menorah teaches us no. Fat chance, no way. Yesterday was a stepping stone until today. And today, you have to be even more passionate about life, even more warm, even give off more light. So once again, the Kohen did the cleaning. The menorah could be lit by a non-Kohen. There's an incredible thought here. So the Kohen, the priest, was a leader. He was clergy. He was consummate scholar. You didn't have the priest was no slouch. But anybody, technically, could light this menorah. To clean it, took the Kohen. You would think the other way around. Clean it, you can get the custodian to clean it. But lighting, that's beautiful, that's holy. Let the high priest light it. But no, the high priest had to be the one that cleaned it and replaced the oil, and a regular Joe could light it. It's counterintuitive, but the reason is such. In order to clean a person, just like you're cleaning the receptacle, you clean a human receptacle. To clean, to critique, to criticize, that you needed to be the high priest. Only a high priest should be the one that cleans out the nonsense of somebody. Not you see somebody, and I maintain even when your own kid, you're there to give them love. You're not there to criticize them. You're not there to cuddle them. You're there to make sure they're safe, and you're there to be a living example. But your job is not to go on the street and say, hey, you did this wrong, you did this wrong. As I think I said yesterday, I'm not God's policeman. I'm not judge, jury, and executioner. I'm in sales. I'm not in management, right? So and likewise everybody else. You light. The average person, just be a guiding light. Be the warmth. Be the light. Share it. Spread it. But to criticize, to correct the behavior, to change a mindset, to tell the person, you are stinking thinking, your attitude is bad, that takes a high priest. That takes somebody very special. The average Joe, your job is not to criticize. You see somebody, you meet somebody, and they you know, they look like a hobo. Your job is not to say, hey, hobo, get a job. That's not for you to do. First of all, they may have a job. They also may be a job that pays more than you do. You just don't know. Just because they look like a hobo, you just never know. You know, they could be the right hand man to Bill Gates, right? You just don't know. Probably is, by the way, in Northern California. But you just don't know. And secondly, you know what? Their therapist will take care of them. Let there are special government institutions that take care of homeless, that take care of transients, etc., that give them clothing, give them shelter, etc. Your job is not to yell at them. Your job is to say, you know, here, I can help you. You know, but call this number. They'll help you. That's your job. Is to show love, light, warmth. Let someone else do the criticizing. And by the way, I'm a stickler for this. To me, constructive criticism, even though I claim I do it rarely, constructive criticism is an oxymoron. Because constructive, but the criticism is destructive. So what is it? Which one is it? Constructive or destructive? So one has to be very careful when they're being constructive to make sure that they are not destructive. And it makes a lot of sense. So go be a shining example. That's your job. The job of every person in this world is to assist the world in assisting inhabitants, whether it's human, whether it's animal, whether it's fish, etc. Assist to make sure you're not doing damage. Your job is to, right? And with the human being, it's a helping hand, it's a smile, it's advice, counsel, unless you're somebody, a therapist, and their therapist. Then you can say, hold on, you're not thinking straight, or don't think like that, or we need an attitude adjustment. But otherwise, shut up. Just be positive. So it's interesting that the Torah tells us it was made out of one block of gold. And Moses, the great Moses, had really trouble trying to understand. This is what it says, that Moses had trouble trying to understand how to make this intricate menorah out of one block of gold. Right? He also had trouble understanding why no soldering? Why not? So yesterday we discussed it. We discussed the ark, and we explained why it was also one piece. But the menorah was made out of one piece, and Moshe had trouble. Now Moses had trouble. I mean, there were so many other complex things that were made. The cherubs weren't troubling. The cherubs were mind-boggling. How precise. Took a real incredible artist, the best of the best, to make these artifacts. Why was he just troubled with the menorah? So the one answer, one commentator that I saw is as follows. The menorah symbolizes warmth, outreach, symbolizes exuberance, symbolizes morality, right? And values, etc. That's what you have to give to the world, and that's what we as Jews do. And you know, when we gave the Torah to the world, if you notice, every single religion jumped on it and took a part of it. Our Constitution is based on the Judeo-Christian, right, values. Now, Judeo came before Christian, so it was a sense we gave the world the gift of morality, the gift of the value of life. That's what the Jew gave. But that made Moses scratch his head. He said, if the menorah symbolizes the gift of values, the gift of morality, if the menorah symbolizes the gift of joy, the gift of exuberance, the gift of warmth, and this is what we added to society at large, the world at large, the question, the difficulty Moses had is, why did they hate us? Why? And that's what it means, miksha. Miksha has the same word in Hebrew as kasha, difficult. Moshe was flummoxed. Why did they hate us? We've given the world so much. And the menorah symbolizes that. So why did they hate us? What on earth did we do wrong? What did we do to a Cossack to make him want to kill us? What did we do so bad to Nazis that they want to kill us? Stalin, that he wanted to kill us. Pharaoh, right? What did we do so bad? And Moses says, I just don't get it. And literally, wherever the footsteps of Jews set upon, somehow, some way, were met with anti-Semitism. And Moses couldn't get it. Right? Sudan, Ethiopia, Egypt, Iraq, Syria, right? Morocco, right? Europe, the whole of Europe. England expelled the Jews, France expelled the Jews, right? Germany expelled the Jews, Spain expelled the Jews. Moses said, why? He couldn't get it. The answer is because of the morality. Because without the gift of morality, without the gift of values, the world would be the wild, wild, wild west. The fact that there is courts of law, police, enforcers, EPA, right? The fact that you have a Department of Treasury to make sure there's no, and the Secret Service, etc., to make sure there's no counterfeit, and all this is what Judaism introduced, that you cannot live as you want to live, some decadent lifestyle. No, you have to live with values. You have to live with morals. Now, an evil jerk like Hitler said, "Oh, I don't want to live with values," and I know I think we're superior, and therefore, gypsies, homosexuals, you're out of here. And Jews, you know what you do to me, Jews? Regardless of what he said, he says, you give me guilt. And by the way, Jews are very, very good at giving guilt. We're a Jewish mother, the amount of guilt a Jewish mother gives is like, I mean, there should be books written on most Jewish mothers, right? It should be called the Book of Guilt. And so Hitler said, you make me feel guilty. I don't want this guilt. I just don't want it. And therefore, I'm going to eradicate, exterminate, eliminate guilt. And you know how? By killing, by getting rid of the offerers of the concept of guilt, the Jewish people. But Moses says it just doesn't make sense. It's so nice, it's so great. Whatever land, before the Spanish Inquisition, and where the Jewish people flourished, so the Department of Treasury, Finance, the Commissioner of Economics in Spain was an Orthodox Jew. That it led to literally Spain's demise. Literally. And likewise, many other countries. You kick Jews out, the economy tanked, and it's just utter sheer stupidity. Right? You know, United States never kicked the Jews out. Ulysses S. Grant tried, and Lincoln shut him up. But Ulysses S. Grant wanted Jews gone. Right? He had a problem that Jews in the North spoke to Jews in the South, and Jews in the South spoke to Jews in the North, and they were conducting a little business on the side, cotton, buying cotton, selling cotton, and he says, get rid of them. So he had a particular axe to grind. So the United States actually, to me, is a blessed country because it was founded on values in God we trust. Another thing, and this is an unbelievable, I leave this kind of lesson to kind of last, an unbelievable lesson of the menorah. So once again, the menorah was beautiful to look at, with its Baroque style and flowers and petals, and it was the way it was carved and cut and solid gold, etc. It shone, it was brilliant. So it had, as we said earlier, it had flowers and petals, and it had a sphere, a ball, a golden bowl, all carved out. And then it had an upside down cup. You think of a cup that's like this, and then an upside down cup. I can't turn this over because it has sparkling water. And the question is why? Right? You have the receptacles that hold the oil. That makes sense. Why do you have midway an upside down cup? It doesn't make sense. So there's another question, and I believe we can answer it with the same answer. Why is the heart on the left side? If you want to be, if you want to have, that it should be, everything should be, synchronistic, and it should be in the middle. Or according to the Kabbalah, right is kindness, left is severity. Now we're taught the heart is the seat of kindness. So why is it on the left side? Right? Kindness is giving. I want to give. I want to give. Severity is taking. I want to take, or I want to restrict giving. So why on earth would God put the heart on the left side? And if there is a heart on the right side, it's usually a serious illness. So it's not arbitrary. Why is the heart on the left side? Why are the cups upside down? So the answer is really beautiful. Is the heart is on the left side because the heart is all about giving. It's all about love. So when I stand across from somebody whom I love or whom I want to help, even if I don't know them, it's my responsibility to love them as a fellow human being and take some modicum of responsibility. When I stand facing this person, my heart, which is on the left, is on their right. It's on their right. And that's the most important part. It's giving. So if it was giving and it would be on my right, it would be on their left, which is severity. My heart is on my left because it's on the recipient's right. And it says you should love your fellow man as yourself. Right? And we all know very well how to love ourselves. Right? We all gloss over our own flaws. And by the way, another lesson with this, you should love your fellow man as yourself. If you don't love yourself, you're going to have a hard time loving somebody else. But if you do love yourself, then you'll give and give and give. But it's not all about the giver. It's about the recipient. Love is about the recipient. You could kidnap somebody and love them and cherish them and give them everything, pamper them. But they don't receive the love because you just kidnapped them. You're giving everything. Love is based on the recipient. Is the recipient receiving your love? And that's why it's on the left side, because it's on the recipient's right. Kindness. Don't give false love. Don't give crooked, warped, stupid love. Give it properly, and it will be received properly. We have a great principle in Judaism. True love is received. Sincere words are received. If it's not true and not sincere, it's going to be very hard to have it received by the other person. So now we can understand the upside down cups. The cups to receive the oil and create warmth and light. What do you do with them? So the answer is you spill them into another cup, into somebody else's cup. So can you imagine you had a cup of water, they had an empty cup. What would you do? Here, take a little, my friend. That is why the cups are upside down. If God would have made the cups once again receptacle, the proper way, then we've only learned to receive. But God wants us to take this warmth and light, and God wants us to give it. So the menorah had upside down cups to teach us. I was there. It was the Grand Rebbe, the Lubavitcher Rebbe, Rabbi Schneerson. It was at a gathering of Farbrengen. It was on the joyous day of Simchas Torah. And usually what happened, the Rebbe talked, and then the Hasidim sung, and they said L'chaim, a toast on a cup of wine, a little bit of wine, and the Rebbe used to have his silver goblet. The Rebbe used to drink a little bit. This time on Simchas Torah, the Rebbe showed that he finished his cup and he turned it upside down. So when everybody saw that the Rebbe turned his cup upside down, which has never been seen before, they finished their drink, internalized their wine, and they turned it upside down, or grape juice. They turned it upside down. When the Rebbe's wife, who was living next door, she didn't come to the Farbrengen. She was told, and she asked, how's it going down there? How's my husband? So they said, well, he took his cup and turned it upside down. So the Rebbetzin took a saucer and she turned her saucer upside down. So it wasn't just cutesy. The Rebbetzin did it as well, and she wasn't even there. But that is the lesson, my dear friends. You gotta share. You gotta give. And it's not enough just to receive. You receive, then turn it upside down and give to someone else's receptacle, who will in turn should turn it upside down to give it to someone else's receptacle. And I heard this incredible line from the third Lubavitcher Rebbe, the Tzemach Tzedek. Obviously, I never met him. He lived 100 and something years ago. So he said, although by nature a child, a little toddler, a baby, etc., by nature it's not altruistic. It wakes you up in the middle of the night, doesn't care. And it's just all about itself, its own survival. But the Tzemach Tzedek said, however, you'll notice something incredible about this toddler. That the toddler creates a mess yay fast. He's playing with toys, the blocks are all over the place, the cars are all over the place, the this and that, and the crayons and the markers, and it looks like a bomb hit it. So the Tzemach Tzedek said, you know what? Innately, literally the child is making a mess, but innately, all the child is doing is sharing. Right? It's not fine-tuned because it's but a child. But it is sharing. And that's the lesson we learn from a child's mess. Now, I encourage you as parents, when the child gets a little older, make sure they help. Don't criticize them, but make sure they help clean up the mess. Because sharing is caring, and cleaning up is also caring. This has been Rabbi Sachs, the Chai Center. You may please feel free to comment here on Facebook Live or at rabbi@thechaicenter.com. If you'd like to see additional videos, it is thechaicenter.com/academy. Please share that link to others. And there's so many other classes that you can gain from, hopefully. I don't want to sound that I'm gloating, because I'm just your average Joe, but there's so many classes that we've gone through together. Enjoy it, scroll, and God bless. Be well.